I think that if you're the kind of agent that's very tech savvy, I think that the last part of all of this would be, and this is for years to come, is to create, like and I like high level. I think it's a very good tool to be able to do a lot of these types of things. Automation is going to be the key in the future for a lot of our agents
as we get ready for AEP. So spend the time now putting together a retention strategy and a retention plan, because this is going to be a year where there's going to be the greatest amount of opportunity. And so you want to make sure that you put yourself in a position where you've had already kind of executed a great retention campaign, retention strategy.
I know that there's people out there who would tell you, no, you got to just keep hustling. And you know what? If that's not how you're driven, if you're driven to like for myself, there's a certain level I want to get to, and then once I'm there, I want to enjoy the fruits of that labor and put things that I prioritize at the front where they belong, which is my family, my kids, and things like that. Understanding still, I still got to work. I still got to, I mean, you still have to put food on the table. I think a lot of agents sometimes get a little too comfortable with where they're at. Hey everyone, welcome back to Medicare Agent IQ. I'm Raul Gonzalez.
And I'm Oscar Ibieta.
And today we were kind of going back with the theme of kind of AEP prep is
No, I thought you were talking about going back and forth between, personal development and Medicare. That's where I thought you were going with it.
You're like giving me corrections, but
no.
Yeah. So we're gonna kind of, with the theme of AEP and kind of prepping for AEP, we're going to talk a little bit more about retaining your business, which is, we've talked about this. This is going to be one of the most important years to protect your book. And so a lot of agents, and it's kind of making me nervous for them and nervous for us also for different reasons, but making us nervous is that a lot of the agents are still, kind of sitting back and not doing anything with their book right now. And we're in, what month is this? June. And the reality is everyone should be contacting their book of business even now. Would you agree with that?
It's so important now more than ever. And we've said it before, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it again, right? Year over year, over the last 12 AEPs that I've been in this business, benefits just seem to get better and better year over year. And I think for the first time, at least ever in my experience, we're going to see a reduction in benefits. And there's a storm coming, and I don't think everybody quite understands what kind of storm is ahead of us.
Yeah, and so not to scare everyone, but normally if you do nothing, you might lose 10%, maybe 15% of your book. This year, if you do nothing, if you just, you sitting back enjoying your renewals and not doing anything to protect your book, could lose between 30 and 40% of your book.
Yeah, that's a huge deal. And to your point, I think because there are some agents who get into this business and that's what we tell them, right? That's the dream that we sell, is we say, look, you can grow your business and grow to get to a point where you've got X amount of residuals, and if you reach that goal and you've attained the lifestyle that you want, a lot of times some agents may just put it in cruise control and let off the gas, say, okay, I'm comfortable with the income that I'm generating, and I write business throughout the year as it comes, but this coming year, that you could actually see a reduction in your residuals.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt you. So be active and be prepared. So quick soapbox. I'm always conflicted because what I share with people, for our agents is we've always said, work as hard as you can until you reach that lifestyle, and then take your foot off the gas and enjoy it. But I guess I should have always said, but you need to stay active with your book. And when I say take your foot off the gas, I'm saying you don't maybe have to go out and hustle as much, but you should still work. Like I never said like you should just, go into retirement phase at 35. That's never been part of the strategy, but we're hoping that people will work they get to a point where they can enjoy the fruits of their labor. And that's what we've always said. I know that there's people out there who would tell you, no, you got to just keep hustling. And you know what? If that's not how you're driven, if you're driven to like for myself, there's a certain level I want to get to. And then once I'm there, I want to enjoy the fruits of that labor and put things that I prioritize at the front where they belong, which is my family, my kids, and things like that. Understanding still, I still got to work. I still got to, you still have to put food on the table. I think a lot of agents sometimes get a little too comfortable with where they're at. So, hey, but back on what we're talking about, let's go through just a couple of ideas that would help people to retain their business. Really, the first one is a great idea is texting your clients. And that's obviously the easiest way to do things, because if you've ever tried calling your book of business, you probably have noticed that one of two things happens. One, you can't get a hold of them. People don't call back all the time. But the worst option is when you call them and then they keep you on the line for an hour. They keep you on the line for 40 minutes. They're just talking and talking and talking. And what I mean is it kind of just puts us in a situation where, and I'm glad to have those talks, but where if I have blocked out 2 hours of my time and you just took 40 minutes of it on one call, it makes it difficult. So the idea of texting your clients is a really, really good idea.
Yeah, I agree. Because it can also create, some service work as well if you are calling some of your clients. But then again, the other part to that is if they're not answering the phone and then maybe they're calling you back either later that evening or the next day or the next week, and then it kind of just messes with the plans that you have. So texting is just one point of contact, one way to touch them, and it's effective. They get the message, however you want to word it, and just get out to them, let them know that you're there and you're still their servicing agent, and that if they need anything, they can absolutely reach out to you. So text is effective. I think more and more seniors are more tech savvy. So I love it. A lot of our seniors these days have the ability to text. The majority of them have a smartphone where they're able to communicate with you via text.
Yeah, a smartphone or an Android. I was
like,
taking it back to the old 2012 debate of what's better, an iPhone or an Android. Hey, but yeah, you're absolutely right. We've got to stay in contact. One thing that I want to mention is we've mentioned on the AEP Readiness podcast that we did a couple of weeks back that it's okay to mention that a couple of the carriers have said that they're expecting to lose membership. They're expecting their benefits to not be as good as they were the year before. And I said it's okay to mention that because these are things that they've publicly said to the shareholders. They've put, there's articles that say like Aetna says they stand to lose 15% of their business or whatever. I wouldn't get into the specifics of that, but I would in conversation, I would mention that I could mention that, and I'd feel comfortable mentioning it because it's public information. It's not like you're sharing the benefits for next year. So it should be okay. But what I will say is I personally wouldn't do that in writing, just because I wouldn't say it's a gray area, but it might start getting into that gray area. And so for me, just I don't need to text all that. I'll just text them and say, hey, just wanted to remind you that I'm your agent. I'm here for you. Don't hesitate to call me, especially if you look at your renewals in the future and you want to change. Don't forget that I represent several carriers, something like that. And so not putting that information out there, but in text, but mentioning, hey, if anything changes, if there's something you don't like, just want to remind you that I'm here for you. And there's a way to do that. There's a lot of different CRMs available right now that will also text your book for you. One of those is Go High Level, right, or High Level, and so there's definite ways to get those and even send it as a group text to your clients. Makes a lot of sense to do, and it's personally what, if I had a big book still, what I would be doing to stay in contact, and I'm doing it on a monthly basis.
Yeah, one that I've done, if you're an agent on a budget, or you don't have Go High Level, or you're trying to figure out other ways, one that I've used in the past, or that I've seen agents use in the past, is one called Textamol. Text, T-E-X-T, and then M-E-M and all. And this isn't a paid advertisement or anything or a plug. It's just, that's one that we've used in the past, and you pay per text. It's a few cents that you pay, and you get a certain amount of characters that you can send out. You can also send a picture if you want more text in there. Of course, it costs more, but that's an effective one. The cool thing is you can just pull your book of business from, most carriers allow you to export it like via Excel, and then you just import that into the Textamol portal, and it can text your clients for you, and it kind of just blasts out one text rather than having to send an individual text to every single person. It kind of helps to just maximize the time that you've got.
Yeah, just texting makes the most sense as far as time. But I would say the next thing that we would talk about is calling your clients. And what I want to, I just said, it's hard to call your clients. It is. But there are certain clients that you should absolutely call. And kind of think back. We all know that client that sends you 5 or 10 referrals a year. And those clients, I want to make sure to get in front of them and make sure. And that's hopefully part of your strategy anyway, is always checking in on your own clients, but especially in this situation, you want to make sure that you're calling them and not just sending them a text. And in that conversation, it's going to look a little bit different than the text. And that's where I will bring up, hey, I just want you to know, come October, you might receive an explanation of benefits or an annual notice of change. And when you see it, you might say, oh my gosh, the benefits aren't as good as they used to be. That's when I want to make sure that you call me as soon as you get that, and I can review. If you're not happy with what you see, then I would be happy to review it and see if there's something better. There's been a lot of carriers that publicly told their shareholders that their benefits aren't going to look as good next year. And so I'm just calling, I just want to make sure that you know that I'm still here for you, and I represent several companies. Yeah. That's exactly how that phone call would go.
Yeah, and one thing that you want to avoid doing, because here we are in June, right? But a month from now, we're probably going to have access to a lot of sneak peeks. We're going to know what some of these plans are looking like, maybe some counties that they're expanding into, or what some of those reduction or additions to the benefits are going to be. Those are the things that you want to avoid sharing. You don't want to give that information out. The way I do it is I tell people I'm not going to know anything until October 1st, the same way as you, even though we already know some of these things. But those are the things that you want to keep from sharing. But getting back to calling your clients, it's a tedious task. Let's call it what it is, right? But you've got to shift the mindset. That's the way that I look at it. And it's earning your residuals and now, right? Because we know, right, this year it's $25.50 on the residual that you get per client. You're just earning that $25 this month. And you've got those high maintenance clients, and then you've got a whole bunch of low maintenance clients. And so you just that's what balances the scales there. But go out and just, the mindset has got to be, okay, I'm earning my renewals not only for this month, but you're also trying to protect yourself and putting yourself in a position so that when January comes around, you've kept as much of your book of business as you possibly can. The last thing you want is regret. January rolls around and you just say, well, I never got around to calling my book of business just because I knew it was going to take a lot of time and it was just going to be tedious. And here you are dealing with a 30-40% reduction in your residuals, and now there's some regret there.
Yeah, and you're going to want, in all of this, we still want to grow, right? You still want to make new sales. You want to grow your book of business. You don't want this to be a year where you're flat. So what I would say is that your ultimate goal in all of this would be that they're staying on their current plan. Plan B, option 2, is that you're the agent that moves them to another client. Equally as important, right? But let's try to keep them there. Try to keep them on the same plan that they're on, so that way you can go out there and take care of getting new clients. And so I see sometimes a lot of agents, and they feel pretty good because they make a lot of sales, but a lot of times it's just moving their own clients from one plan to another, and that's not what that's not what I would be trying to do as an agent. I want growth. I want to see increase, and so I'm hoping to keep those people on that plan. And so I'm even telling them, hey, look, a lot of the plans are going to be very similar, but please make me the first call if you're not happy. Notice how I always say that, like if you're not happy with what it looks like in October when you get that notice of change, please make me your first call. Yeah. But that's if you're not happy. Yeah. And so I don't want to move them if I don't have to.
Yeah, and I think the reality is this is a year where people are going to be receiving those negative ANOCs, and that's safe to say that it's probably going to be across the board. So when your client receives that negative ANOC, it's going to raise a red flag, and they're going to be calling you. But that's where you've got to have the conversation with them and just say, hey, look, your doctor takes these other couple of options. I still like the option that you have. I still think that it's the winner moving into next year, even though your copay increased or there was a reduction in your dental benefits or whatever the case may be. But it's just taking the time to have that conversation with them. But the ultimate goal would be, okay, let's stick with the one that you've got. Unless there really is a stronger option, a better option that makes more sense for them, then you'll go and knock that out. But capitalize on that and say, hey, do you have any other friends or family members that have Medicare? So don't just go and service that one client.
And I'd even take it a step further. Like if you are going to have to meet them, say, hey, by the way, is there anyone that you know that's on the same plan? Yeah. Because if you're going to make that change, because if you have them meet you there, we can all just get together at the same time. I'd love to help your friend too, and then I can be and I always throw this, and then I can be this agent that is going to be there for them the way that I've been there for you. Yeah. And I've always helped you get in front of these types of things, and so a lot of people will bring their friends, and they do know what plan that their friend is on, because they'll remember, oh yeah, I remember talking about, we're on the same plan. So that would be a way to make your time more valuable, is getting other people. Let's go on and talk about just kind of another part of the strategy would be to send a letter to your clients. And so I like the idea of being very vague about the changes that are coming. And again, in the same way that I said the text, it would be just a little bit longer. Just like, hey, just a reminder that I'm your agent. Include a couple business cards maybe in there. Include a flyer. Just something that shows that you represent several carriers. Just a reminder, I represent several carriers, and really kind of doing the same thing. And I'm thinking, like, even if I send out a text message to all my clients, even if I'm getting out there and texting all my clients, not everybody's going to read that text. Not everyone's going to remember it, but I'm going to also send that letter. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that was one of the points that I was going to make, was just, you've got to don't just pick one of these three or two of these three. I would encourage you to do all three and touch them all different ways, right? Send them a text message, give them a phone call, and then send them a letter. And it's just letting them know, hey, I'm here. I reached out to you via text. I gave you a phone call, and I'm sending you a letter. It's just a reminder. It's just letting them know, I'm your agent. I'm your guy. I'm your girl.
Right. Yeah, I think that would go a long way. And just and I may do these in different months. Like in July, you're watching this in June most likely. And so in July I would send a text or a letter, and then in August I would send the opposite, and then in September I would call the ones that, like, once you really start, and this is what's going to start happening as we get closer to AEP, we're going to start noticing that there are going to be people, probably Aetna, I'm just based off of what they're saying to their shareholders. If you have clients on Aetna, those I would consider probably higher priority than maybe United, who seems like they're going to be more stable. Now, I'm saying all this, and I'm speaking specific to what they have said publicly. Once you start getting the sneak peeks and you start getting an idea, as we get closer to October, you're going to see. So during the sneak peeks this year, we probably won't see a whole lot. And there's a lot to kind of unpack there. But other than the fact that you're probably not going to see like the changes to the dental benefits and things like that, I think a lot of these carriers are going to hold that so that way people aren't strategizing against them for it. But when that time comes that you start getting a look at what the benefits are actually going to look like, you're going to know which ones are higher risk of movement. And again, it's probably going to be Aetna just because they've said that. Now, you might live in a market where they've decided to invest. Yep. And so that's going to be the opposite. If you're in like, there's certain like really good HMO markets, like here in San Antonio, they might invest in our market where other markets are like, man, we're out of here. And so you're going to see that there are certain people that are higher risk. And I'm hoping that you've done a good job of keeping track of which clients are on which plans. If you haven't, you can always go to the carrier and get more information from them about which clients you have that are on these higher risk plans. I would make a plan that for them, I'm probably going to give them a call. I'm not just going to send a letter. I'm not just going to send them a text. I'm going to give them a call, and hopefully in September, hopefully and just like, hey, and same thing. You can't tell them the benefits, and just keep that in mind. But I'm going to probably let them know that the same thing, but they'll kind of feel what I'm saying, the urgency. If you get that letter if you get it, you don't like what you're looking at, please make sure to give me a call. And so and then I might even make notes of these particular people. I'm calling on 10/1 if they haven't called me, and I'm going to offer a plan review.
Yep, so I agree. I got nothing more to add.
All right. I was waiting for like this huge nugget of wisdom. No, so another strategy that you could use would be to host client appreciation events. And so we've done those for some of our agents that
have a larger book.
Have the largest books of business. It's hard though, because like even when you have an agent with a book of 900, 1,000 clients, usually they don't all live in the same area. So you've got to be very strategic about making it in an area that is kind of central to where a lot of clients would feel comfortable traveling. Like here in San Antonio, we've always done things like that, like right in the not downtown, but like in a city center, like where a lot of people live, and a lot of people would be able to travel maybe 5 miles to. So a good spot. Like don't pick a part of the city that's like far northwest, and then everybody else is
it's just way too long of a drive that they're not going to come out.
Yeah, and so do those kinds of events. You can have and let them know, hey, we're gonna have some giveaways, and we're gonna have some carrier representation, provider groups come out and might even have some giveaways. It's a client appreciation event and those types of things. If you can do that, you're going to benefit quite a bit, because those people, again, it's basically all we're doing here is trying to solidify the fact that we are your agent. Like that's basically what we're trying to say.
I think there's one other thing that you can add to that as well, right? It's a retention event, but maybe throw in bring a friend. Anybody if you want to bring a friend along, and maybe that is an opportunity for you. That could be a lead. It could lead to either an immediate sale, or it could be something that you put in the pipeline for AEP and say, okay, this is my client, but you brought your friend who's not my client. This could be an opportunity either now or down the road. But there's some logistics that go into this. There's a lot of moving pieces when you're going to host an event like this. So that's where I'd say get with your upline or any local relationships that you have with some of the carriers or provider groups that you work with, that's where you start to kind of bring your resources together and say, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. This is what I want to do. Can you help me put something like this together?
Yeah, get some support for that for sure. Hey, the next one that I want to talk about is something that you probably should have started last year. You probably should have started before, but even if you haven't, it's not too late, is to make sure that you have a social media account, like a Facebook. Seniors are very, very much into Facebook. So have a Facebook. Could be Oscar Ibieta insurance agent. And you can ask your clients, hey, would you do me a favor, or even send them a text, would you do me a favor and like and follow my page? And if you can have a good amount of your current clients on that Facebook page, it's going to go a really, really long way into helping you to be able to make announcements, or just kind of touch them and let them see these things like, oh yeah, he does represent several insurance companies. It's going to pop up in their feed as they're going through other things. So if we can do a good job of getting our current clients to like and follow us, then we can do a great job of communicating with them. But all of these things, what I'm hoping is that we can find a way to just from different times, make sure that we're reaching out and that they know that you're there. And so whether they see the text or whether they see the Facebook or whatever it is, we're hoping that they'll find our message and that it gets to them, and that is going to help us retain.
I think it's just getting them from all different angles, right? And just having that social media presence is just another layer, adding another layer to that, and it just helps you kind of solidify who you are as a professional, and I think it carries a lot of weight, right? It just makes you look good.
Yeah, I think that if you're the kind of agent that's very tech savvy, I think that the last part of all of this would be, and this is for years to come, is to create, and I like high level. I think it's a very good tool to be able to do a lot of these types of things. Automation is going to be the key in the future for a lot of our agents to remain successful in retaining that book of business. And what I'm talking about is just where you can go in and set up emails that will automatically go out, like a newsletter to your clients, every once a month. Like, hey, just a friendly reminder, I'm here for you. You can call me if you need me. Those types of emails, even emails where instead of just reminder of that, and I'm talking about doing this all year. Where you can send them just valuable pieces of information, things that seniors might find interesting, almost like make your own AARP magazine or whatever it is. Just a short blurb about, hey, a lot of seniors and obviously don't give any medical advice, right? Like, because my first thought was like seniors there was a study that said that seniors were doing great when they did vitamin D or whatever it is. Like there are different things that you might be able to send to them that would not be medical advice, but that seniors might find useful. And so I would say that, and I would encourage agents, if you don't know much about automation, figure it out. It's something that's going to be worth your time to do, because it's going to take your business further when it comes to retention. There's a lot of times, and we've all met them, right, where you talk to a senior and they say, and when you ask them who their agent is, like, I don't know. I just enrolled and never heard from them again. There's a lot of agents out there like that. What I've always been, and what this podcast has been about, is helping agents to not be that agent, to help that agent be kind of that next level of agent. So, hey guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up, but we're gonna continue to do this. And really, my hope here is from the stuff that we talked about in the AEP prep conversation, we're gonna take everything a step further, and we're going to talk more about it. And so stay tuned, especially as we're getting ready for AEP. But even during AEP, I would encourage you to listen to this podcast. We're going to give you things as we go through it. So,
yeah, one last thing that I want to just throw in there before we close it out, Roll, is there's two sides to every coin, right? And right now we're talking about retention and how important that is as we get ready for AEP. So spend the time now putting together a retention strategy and a retention plan, because there's also, this is going to be a year where there's going to be the greatest amount of opportunity. And so you want to make sure that you put yourself in a position where you've had already kind of executed a great retention campaign, retention strategy, so that when AEP comes around, you're also in a position where you're able to capitalize on the opportunity to grow. And so I just kind of wanted to wrap up with that and just let everybody know, hey, it's a double-edged sword. There's two sides to every coin. So, you know, there's a lot of good to come this coming AEP.
Absolutely. So until next time, just get out there and get in touch with your clients.